What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast episode. Today, I have Sherrie Sokolowski with me, and Sherrie and I go way, way back. She's responsible for some of the biggest events out there in our space. She has helped traffic and Ryan Dice with the Traffic and Conversion Summit. She's been behind the scenes on big live events. And I wanted her to come on the show today to talk to us about the future of live events due to the COVID outbreak and crisis, and what can we be doing to prepare ourselves to get back into the live event world, for those speakers out there, for those small to medium-sized businesses out there that do live events. Sherrie has tremendous insights and background in this particular field. So Sherrie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Henry. Thanks so much for having me on. Yeah, like you said, we go way back. We see each other coming and going at events for years. And
right?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's kind of one of those things right now where people are missing their families and their friends. They can't see their grandparents, their grandkids because they're covered in. Well, we can't see our people,
Right.
Right? So It's like, oh, what do we do? So what I'm trying to do right now is just let everybody know that the relevancy of live events are still there. It's just on pause right now, and what we can be doing while everyone is waiting and watching for what's going to happen is to strategize and plan the best way possible right now. Like, use this downtime. So many of us, like myself, are using this downtime to hop on as many webinars as they can to learn, to get on virtual summits of others to see what they're doing, to stay relevant and to be caught up and educated in their own industry. And right now, what I suggest for people who have either done live events before or haven't done them, or are scared to death if they should even bother to try right down the road, or those who have them on the books now and they just don't know what to do. Should they rebook? Should they cancel them altogether? Should they start planning? And I can't tell you one way or the other what you should do. I can just suggest to you what I think you should do.
Yeah.
And that is just stay relevant, stay in front of your tribe, stay in front of your community, hop on Facebook Live throughout the day, do these things, these webinars, these virtual events where you're inviting them to come and hear from you. Let them know that you're still there and that you still care, and that you yourself are learning what to do for your own business so that you can help them through this crisis, because every single one of us is being affected by it, whether through our health of ourselves or others, financially, our business. Some people have to lay off their employees. Some of them have to go out of business. Everyone is getting affected by this. So instead of hovering in a corner for more than a day, all of us have a right to hover in for a little bit and like, oh, what are we going to do? But, just stay out there and be positive and be the leader your tribe needs you to be, and just be relevant. So, use that downtime right now. And those people that are scared, that have been wanting to do a live event and was always scared because they didn't know how to do it, and now they're even more scared because what are live events going to look like? They are going to be different. Life in general is going to be different after this. I had a conversation with my husband this morning. He's like, you think about it. You go to a barber, you put your hands down, you leave. The barber doesn't wash that chair off with sanitizer. The next person comes in and puts their hand down. It's, how do you look at it? So for someone like myself in my profession, I'm learning what I can do to help serve my clients down the road. So when live events come back, how can we make it a safe environment for the attendees, for the speakers, for everyone else, so that they know, hey, I understand your fear and I'm going to address it. And that's kind of the message business owners should be doing right now, is focusing on, hey, I understand your fear right now. I have a solution. Let's work through this together. Let's figure this out. And, everything is going to go back to a new normal at some point. Some point is the only thing that we all don't know right now, is when is that some point. But we know we're going to get there. So let's get through it together.
Man, that's such a great message. Do you recommend I am completely green to this stuff, Sherrie. So I may ask some really, elementary questions, or I may ask some questions that stump the hell out of you. But
Sure.
I'm coming at this as if I know nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my first question is for those folks that are planning on doing live events in the future. Is there some sort of event insurance that you can take out to ensure some sort of safety, if something like this occurs again? Is that available, and how does somebody get it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to be honest, this is what I started to research a few weeks ago when all this started to come about of like, oh, what are we going to do? Can we cancel? Because as this was developing, some states still allowed you to have social gatherings, but a lot of your attendees who aren't going to be able to get there because they're restricted on their travel. So I started doing that research for my own clients and like, okay, what's out there? So there has been event insurance for a long time. There's actually several different types of event insurance that you can have.
Oh, good.
The one that I learned about, two actually, that I didn't really know much about, most of what that I always came across was liability insurance. A lot of times when you sign a contract with a hotel, they want you to have liability insurance that is anywhere from $1 million to $2 million, where most businesses have it anyway, and you just need to get a temporary certificate of putting the hotel on it. So that has been the typical thing that most people have anyway when they have live events, is to protect themselves from liability. But event insurance that I found out about is the cancellation event insurance. So there is insurance out there where if you have to cancel your event for whatever reason, then it is there to help protect you from lost revenue. So there is that out there. There is another one that I learned that was for communicable diseases. And that is for the unknown diseases that if something like this were to happen, then and it messes with your event where you can't have it, then you can rely upon on that. Now, that is only for, in this about a month ago is when I started seeing this, it's only for diseases that are unknown. So people who have it now or had it, you can't use it for COVID-19 because that became known in November, December timeframe. So it's for those down the road. So for example, right, and I actually did a webinar about this a couple of weeks ago. People can see it on my YouTube channel. They can go to and see it, where I interviewed an emergency preparedness specialist.
What is your YouTube channel?
It is SLS Event Planning.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'm trying to get as much relevant content on there now as possible. And I talked a little bit about force majeure clauses and cancellation clauses and insurance on that one webinar. And I'm going to get some more specialists on with me to talk about each one specifically.
Oh, good.
Because, I only know a little bit of it, but so many other people out there know a lot. The one thing I do know when I did my own research is it may be a little bit more difficult for you to get it now, or the premiums might be higher, because it's just like when hurricanes happen or when a hurricane's been announced and you're like, I'm going to call my insurance agent and put that on my pod. You're like, no, or you're going to pay thousands of dollars for it. So just do your research. So if you've got an event planned on the books already that you can't cancel out yet because the force majeure doesn't apply because it's so far out, just wait. But call an insurance company that specializes in event insurance and see what's an option for you. And I would, if it were me, I'd definitely apply for it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. My next question is, what do you think the PTSD of this happening, right, is going to have on everyone? Because I'm so I even see myself, Sherrie, like I'll go to the cafe that we go to in town, and I'll pick up, a coffee for my wife and lunch for my family. And if there's more than 6 people in this place, and it's not a big place, so I want to preface that, but I will wait my ass outside. So how does everybody get over, and this may be a tough question, but how does everybody get over thinking that everyone has the cooties?
Yeah, I know. I had that same exact discussion with a client last week of, what are we going to do? Are people going to be afraid to come to a live event when things get back to the new normal. And, again, I'm not a fortune teller. I don't have a glass ball. I can't predict that. But what I can predict is that people will want to socialize again. People will want to continue to network again. And the people that do are the people you want anyway, because they're the serious people, right? They're the people that want, it's kind of like when you go back to, how do I charge for my live event? Do I increase my ticket price? Do I give free tickets away? Do I do this? And I'm like, well, what's your purpose of the event? Do you want to just have a freebie and whoever's in the room is in the room? Or do you want qualified people in the room who will pay the ticket price to be there because they know they're going to get something out of it? So that's the same thing with this, so that everyone is going to look at life differently. So it's a matter of a few things, Henry. It's a matter of how, again, going back to the emergency preparedness. The expert I talked to, I met him last August of 2019 in a Connect conference, just to add to my Rolodex of people in the industry. Never thought in a million years I would ever need someone like that for my clients, but it became relevant. And he, because of what he does, sent me emails of what he's putting into place for COVID-19, these plans that he's putting into place for live events when live events were still happening a couple of months ago. And so that's what, had me want to have a call with him. It's like, okay, you're being relevant, right? So let's talk through it. So that tells me that in the future for live events, he and I are going to work together. We're partnering together to help my clients realize that they should put something into place for their live event. Whatever that is, it could be as small as having a checklist of things that you need to work with the hotel or your venue on to make sure that they've got things covered, or having his crew there to be prepared for someone who may come sick or someone that may, get out of hand or whatever. So putting things into place for the new norm would be one thing to help with that, and to let people know you're doing it. To let your crew know that, hey, I care about you, and I'm going to put these things into place for you, for your protection and mine, because we all still need to be in this together, and we need to continue learning. We still need to continue operating our businesses. We still need to be serving our community, and this is what we're going to put into place for it. So that's one thing. The other thing is using this downtime now to really do your best to plan for the experience to be the best experience possible for your tribe to want to be there, because people are sitting back right now. They're waiting and watching for who is going to act first, and while we can't act as a live event right now, we can do virtual, we can do webinars, we can do Facebook Lives, we can do whatever we can to be in front of them and let them know, hey, I'm still the leader in this. I still want to teach you and help you through this. So be relevant, so that when the time comes for us to be able to be live in front of them, they're like, oh, Henry's been on the ball. I'm going to be there for him. If not, who else are they? Who else are you going to lose them to? Because they were on the ball and they were ahead of the curve.
I love it. So my next question is this. There's a lot of folks that listen and tune in and watch that are speakers that, again, hold these live events, whether it be quarterly on a smaller scale or annually on a larger scale. That's their livelihood. Like, that's their business. I had Brian Fanzo on the show 2 weeks ago, right? And he speaks at all these big events. He was at Social Media World a gazillion times speaking, and he's a really animated speaker. I love him. And this is his business,
right?
Is public speaking. And so, and this is your business. You plan events, from soup to nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know how you are handling the pressures of what's going on right now, because listen, I'm not even in this space. I'm more on the digital end, and I've been doing this for years. So, like, honestly, my deliverable has not changed whatsoever. And what I do is really no different than what I've always done. But for the folks that, like yourselves, like heavily dependent, right? It's like talking to an airline company or a travel agent, right? This is how have you been coping with this to, just stay positive and stay focused? And because I know that other folks like yourself are looking for some sort of community, some sort
Yeah.
of hope.
Yeah. That's a great question. And I'm glad you asked it, because it allows me to just be real for a minute and let everybody know that I'm feeling the pain. Every single one of us are feeling the pain one way or the other, whether it's through health of you, your family, someone else your business, having to lay people off, or losing income. Like I lost a client this week who reacted instead of proactive. He was reactive. And he's like, I don't think people are going to want to come to my fall event, even if we get back to normal. So I'm just going to cancel it all. And I'm like, well, I tried to talk him out of it, just because it's, you're being reactive instead of proactive. Let's wait and see. And even if you can't have it, let's talk about the future, right? Let's not throw it all away, all the hard work that you've done for your team, and throw it all away. And he had a reactive mode, and it was negative. And it's like, okay, that's how that person's choosing to handle it. That's not going to be very positive. So what I'm doing personally is I'm doing everything I can to get out in front of as many people as I can that I know that I can help, whether it's just to serve them like this, just giving them some advice to let them know that, I hear you, I'm going through it too, but here's what we can do. So I'm doing that. I'm trying to get on as many podcasts as I can to get myself out there, just not only to serve and let people know, I'm going through this too. This is my suggestion. These are my opinions. This is what I'm seeing help other people, but also to let them know that I'm trying to be a leader too in my industry. Right. And so for those speakers out there who are not on live stage, we were just talking about this. This is my second point, is get into a community. I talked about this on another call earlier today. Find a community that is relevant to you and be part of it, and just help one another through this, because someone in that community could have some advice for you that allows you to think outside the box of your norm, that can help you through this, or you may have something for them, and you're just helping each other through it. And then also trying to learn how to grow my own self personally and business-wise. So I'm trying to hop on as many webinars as I can that are teaching something about business. See, I had the great fortune of learning and growing through Bill Glazer and Glazer Kennedy, where they taught marketers how to think outside the box and see what someone in a different niche is doing to help them, and take that and put it with yourself so that you could set yourself apart, your USP, your unique selling proposition. So that's what I'm doing right now, because I have the time to do it, because I'm not out managing a client's live event. So I'm like using that time to learn and grow for myself personally in my business, and applying that to help my clients and to help them help their clients to stay relative. And then most importantly, I probably should have started with this first, is pray. Pray to my Lord through this every day, throughout the day, because I have good days, I have bad days, and some days it's just a huge roller coaster. And, I have to stay grounded in my faith and know that I'm going to get through this, and I want to help as many people get through this as I possibly can.
Oh, I love it. This is teaching us a very valuable lesson. I'm not super spiritual nor religious. I should say I'm more spiritual than I am religious.
Right.
And everything, I'm a true believer that everything happens for a reason, right? And where my house sits, right, in New Jersey, we are right in the middle of some flight pattern, because everybody that lands in Newark comes over my house, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like every, a minute, we have a big plane coming over our house. Well, it has been tremendously quiet over the past couple of over the past couple of weeks, and this week eerily quiet. Out of all the weeks, right? And I'm just sitting out on my porch the other day and looking out my lake, and I'm saying to myself, the world and this earth is telling us all to slow the hell down.
Yes.
And unfortunately, this is how we're being told.
Yeah.
And so this is like, what if this didn't happen? Just think this for a second. What if this didn't happen? What else would have happened that could have been more catastrophic? That's what I'm thinking in my head. That's what I'm thinking in my head.
Right.
And I'm saying to myself, so what lessons have you learned? What lesson? This is my next. So here's my next question to you. What lessons have you learned both personally and professionally, which that will prepare you for the next crisis, right? I don't even know how to put it in words, but like, right? Because we're not done. I mean, we're going to, you're fairly healthy, you're fairly young, so am I. We're going to see something else just as big in the future. We just don't know what that is yet. But what lessons have you learned that you could share with the audience that they could say, that's a good piece of insight. I'm going to take that one and run with it.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say, one of my clients yesterday, we did a virtual one-day event with his tribe, and he was telling them, look, I've been teaching you for years to be prepared for 18 months of cash flow. Okay. And you all were wondering, why is that necessary? Well, no one would have ever predicted something like this would happen. But if you did that, you would truly be okay right now. And, for me personally, the lesson I learned is, my husband's in the corner saying, I told you so, because he's been trying to tell me for years to create products and programs and online services for people so that I could be in a digital, like he didn't use the words because he doesn't know them like you and I, but to be present digitally instead of being of service like I have been for 8 years. And because I didn't take the time to do it, mainly because I didn't have the brain energy to do it, because I was continually working in my business, serving my clients instead of on my business. That's been the huge lesson for me, is there's been so much wasted time of not keeping track of what I could be teaching others during this time, so that I could have had that online community presence already into play and have been more relevant and to have sustainable income coming in through that digital world, to where now I'm racing the clock to try and make that happen now before it's completely too late. Yeah. So that's one lesson learned for me. And for those listening is, don't look at this as shoulda, woulda, coulda. Look at this as now I have the opportunity. Yeah. And what can I do to create that online presence, to be relevant, to be that leader, even if it's just a small piece of it. At least you're doing your part, and saying that all through this, at least I did my part. I did what I could to try to stay relevant. And even if I did enough to sustain through it, I did better than what most was able to do. And so that's been a huge lesson learned for me, is to do that and to work towards living a debt-free life, so that when this does something like you said, something like this happens again down the road, where income starts to either be less or go away completely. Some people, they're without completely because they're being laid off and they work a 9-to-5 job. And if they didn't have that coming in, how are they going to survive every day? Yeah. Because they didn't have a cash flow, or they don't have another stream of income coming in. That's the whole point of this. So that's been my big lesson for this. And, for your speakers out there, you were talking about those that listen, that's where their livelihood come from. How can they continue to do it? Well, the community that I'm part of, we've been on group calls now for the last couple of weeks. Ideas are flowing. It's like, hey, seek out that speaker who was completely booked because of their schedule of having to go from speaker to speaking gig. Reach out to them, because I bet you they're not going anywhere right now, and try to get on a webinar with them to attract more people. So that's what your speakers should be doing right now, is seeking out platforms, virtual, where they can get on, and they may not get their speaking fee, but if they've got that online presence where they could sell products and services after they spoke for that community, I bet you the person that they're speaking for will like, hey, yeah, because they're being able to get that speaker for the first time in front of their community when they wouldn't have been able to do it before, because they couldn't afford that speaking fee, or that speaker was too booked and couldn't be on there now. So that's what your speakers listening to this should be doing.
Wow. Such a great point. So what was it? It was 2 nights ago. I follow LL Cool J on Instagram, right? Guess who shows? So he does live streams. He does them quite frequently now, right? Guess who jumps on his live stream? Gary Vaynerchuk.
What?
So it's the two of them hashing it out on a live stream on Instagram, and Gary kept saying to LL, like, how long have we been trying to get together and do something together, and the coronavirus had to happen for us to actually jam out. Now it's virtual, but it has connected us together. And LL said the same thing. So that's exactly what, to your point, right? Yeah. It's bringing these people that normally wouldn't be able to connect are now connecting. Exactly. And whammo, there's that instant connection. And to that point as well, this was said to me by my coach on Wednesday. So every month I meet with him just to, sit down and get this information out of his big old head, and have him sort of help me process it, right? And he said the one thing to me that I'll never forget. He said, Henry, the relationships that you make during this time will be lifelong relationships. I can promise you that. Because and then he said, we may not come out of this. There's going to be a lot of casualty here, and I'm not trying to spread the fear. I'm not. I'm just saying, I'm just showing what's reality. Like the unemployment rate, like that's real numbers. Like that's real numbers. And that you can't hide from. I mean, I'm not going to try to dummy that down. But he said, those that choose to persevere and choose to go through will indeed reinvent themselves. Russell Brunson said something great on one of his live streams. He says, bankruptcy is actually a beautiful thing, guys. It's not a failure. And the other thing that my mentor said was, listen, it's not that you went out because you sucked at building funnels or doing brand design or identity. He's like, this is global. Like we're all going down.
Exactly.
Right. So so you can't think that it's you, like it's your fault. It's not your fault. This is uncharted territory right now.
It is.
So just remember that. So that peace of mind, mixed with what you just mentioned is really helping me. I need to do a better job of, to be honest with you, and I'm going to put this out there in the world, is pay more attention to the opportunities that are out there.
Right.
And how you sell things, right? Because it's how you sell things now. So like you just mentioned, you said, I wish I was out there more digitally than I am.
Yep.
You just planted so many freaking bombs in my head. Like, holy crap. Like, this is how I should be talking to my audience now.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like how you have to pivot, right? The word pivot has been the word of the week for me in a lot of areas, the many different calls I've been on and such. And it's, the virtual call that we had yesterday of the virtual day with my client, he serves the lawyer community, right? So, believe it or not, they're hurting in many different ways that I would have never thought, right? And my client is not a lawyer, but he is a marketing expert that teaches these guys how to market their businesses better, to get better clients and to be a better service and to grow their practices. And, one of the lawyers kept focusing. That's the thing that people need to realize is the more you focus on the negative, you're not going to get anywhere except dig a deeper hole, right? So this one lawyer practice, he's like, our particular practice is suffering so badly right now because people aren't out at the bars. They're not out driving. They're not. And I'm like, I'm kind of giggling in my head a little bit thinking, you're focusing on so many of the negatives. People aren't out at the bars. They're not out driving. That means they're not out drunk driving. They're not out hurting people. They're not out killing people. They're not out going into jail. But what could you be doing to serve? So think outside the box. Yeah. So my client suggested, what else can you be serving in that community, and focus on that right now? Yeah. And that's where people need to be, hey, I get it. Every day is a struggle, but I'm choosing every day to step out of the negative and focus on the positive. How can I serve? How can I help? What can I learn new to do that? And here's the thing, right? Like your coach said, we may never get out of this. My husband said, my husband's one of the most optimistic people I know. He said the same thing this morning. We may never get out of this. It could be decades before we recover.
Mm-hmm.
But what we choose to do with that time is what is the most important decision for us right now.
That's right.
What we choose to do with this time right now.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather, years from now, to be that legacy for my daughter who's 6.5 years old watching this and waiting this. What did my mom and dad do for me through this time to help me get through it? We're not going to sit in a corner and whine about it. We're going to do our best to serve, our best to help, our best to improve, to get through it. And wouldn't you, when you look at it at the end of the day, think, oh, I got through it. Things didn't get better, but I did. I got better through it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. It's funny. My wife and I were eating dinner last night with our 2.5-year-old,
Yeah.
right? And unfortunately, my wife's salary got cut 20%, 20% till July as of now, right? And it's a substantial amount of money, and we talked about it, and we made transitions. We made tweaks that we needed. We're paying. I told this the other day on a live stream last night. We were paying $200 for cable television. Who watches that anymore, right?
Yeah.
We cut it in half.
Yeah.
Right. And so it took this for that to happen, right?
Right.
But the big takeaway I want you to get is this: you're gonna go through some stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. We all looked at each other and we grabbed each other's hand at the dinner table and we said, thank God we have the three of us, right? Money could always be remade or re-earned, right? We could always build something again.
Yeah.
But this here
right
is priceless. And this time is a gift. Gift. We're honest to God, Sherrie, I don't think we're ever going to get this kind of time again where where the entire world is at a pause.
Right.
So like to your point, what do you do with this time? And do good with it. Don't sit there and crawl up in a ball in a corner. That's not going to serve you. That's not going to help you. How can you serve? How can you be of service? How can you help? When I got that PM from you on Facebook, was like, I would love to be on your show. I have so much to say about this. I was like, Sherrie's already out of this. She's so proactive, right? These are the types of people I want on my show.
Yeah.
So with that said, Sherrie, we gotta wrap up. How can people learn more about you and start to follow you so they can get more information about the future of live events, how to protect themselves, how to coordinate? You've been doing this for 8+ years.
Yeah.
I consider you a subject matter expert in this space. So where can people learn more about you?
Thank you. Yeah, they can check out my website first, slseventplanning.com. We're putting new information out there almost daily. I have a YouTube channel, SLS Event Planning, where I'm consistently trying to get some interviews with experts in the industry to talk more deeper about this. I've already got content out there for the A to Z of, the blueprints of doing events on your own. They can also email me if they just want to get on the phone and chat. They may be at a point where, Sherrie, I got an event booked already and I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What's your thought? They could certainly email me at sherrie@slseventplanning.com. I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. And I'm trying my best to learn everything I can for myself and my clients to get through this.
Sherrie, you're the best.
Thanks,
Henry. You are. Hang in there. You and your family are going to be just fine. And believe and continue to do what you do, because we get repaid back in ways that we would never think of. We don't know when it's coming, right?
No.
But to put that goodwill out there and to put that kind of energy out there,
yes,
the law of attraction. It comes back around in ways you wouldn't believe. I've literally had to pinch myself sometimes because of how I was repaid by something that I've done probably years ago.
Yeah.
You know, that right?
Right.
So just hang in there, keep doing what you're doing, and you will be just fine. We're all getting through this
Yeah.
together.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So
We're not in it alone, that's for sure.
that's for sure. So there you have it, guys. Hope this episode was helpful to you. Sherrie, laid her heart out for you, and she was extremely transparent. She gave some really good insights. I would highly recommend you go check out her YouTube channel and reach out to her. She's very, very responsive. And again, her and I go back years. And it was a pleasure to reconnect with her today and have her come on the show and just share some insights with you. So have an amazing day, guys. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you on the next episode real soon. Take care.